Cool. Alright, so hi everyone. Welcome back. My name is Shay. If you don't know me, this is your first time watching me, welcome. Hello to my channel and everyone watching. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe. And basically, I just either A, talk about books, B, talk about writing, C, talk about wrestling, or D, I talk about whatever I want, essentially. But usually most of the stuff I do, I try to orient it to help other people. So hopefully this book review will be out on the internet and help some people out there. So yay. Okay, so I've recently been cleaning out my room and selling my stuff on Facebook and Mercadi. So if you want to check out my stuff, I'll put the link down in the description box below. But of course, just before I decided to sell this book, I wanted to actually hop on and review this book. So for those of you that have not heard of this book, it is called Well-Read Black Girl, of course, and the woman that actually wrote this book is in charge of an organization, and it is called, give me a second, it is called Well-Read Black Girl. Very self-explanatory, but basically what they do is they talk about African American writers, poets, artists, musicians, etc. that have come through our history, as well as, you know, people of color in general, so indigenous, native, etc. And this is I would assume, the first book that she has ever written, and essentially it is just filled with different stories from many different artists, actors, musicians, writers, etc. that are all women of color. So basically, this was a great book. I actually bought this book for a party that my mom attends every year, but I like the book so much that I was like, oh, I want to keep it. So I ended up trading the book back. I had another book, but when I was looking at it, I actually didn't like the way that it looked. So I traded this book back to get my original book that I bought back, and I'm actually genuinely glad that I did, because this book is absolutely amazing. Okay, so first and foremost, they break it up into beautiful colors. So by the way, the theme of it is like purples, blacks, whites, and oranges, which for me I aesthetically love because I love purple, but this is a very beautiful orange. So again, we have our magical table of contents. Every single book needs a table of contents. For those that are new writers, you need a table of contents, or at least a chapter breakdown of sorts when you're writing. And in here, there are recommendations for classic novels, novels on black feminism, science fiction, plays, poetry, etc. The whole shebang, essentially. And the books, again, are from 2015 to 2018, so obviously there are many other books now that have been published that obviously you should definitely throw under those specific topics, but this should be one of the books, by the way. But again, essentially they're just recommendations or starter books within those specific categories. I've actually written down every single one of the books that is mentioned within this book in a separate list, and I will get those books and I will slowly but surely review them, because I am absolutely convinced that I need to start making more content. So I will start making more content pertaining to books, since that's something I actually enjoy doing. So most of the books in here, like, of course, The Hate That You Give is officially a movie now, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy is a movie. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, that is a movie if you're interested in watching that. But The Color Purple, etc. So there are movie versions to a lot of the books in here. My personal recommendation, of course, as always, is to read the book first and then watch the movie. So again, it's only because the book is able to flesh out a lot of ideas and nuances that the movie will miss, or they will omit, because it's not important to the overall plot that the director, or the overall vision that the director or the producer of the movie has. So if you're going to want to watch the movie version of your book, please make sure there's a book version first and then read it. That's just my personal advice, as always, of course. But there But there are many stories about female empowerment, discovering yourself, raising your self-esteem, and just overall gratitude and appreciation for the culture in general, which is definitely something that a lot of people need right now, and a lot of people in general I think are gonna need in the years coming forward. I definitely am one of those individuals that's very much like closed in on themselves and very introverted upon myself, so I haven't really been able to unleash or open up as well as I've hoped. But as I grow as an individual and as I read more books like this one, for instance, I will gladly honestly grow into a great person or a more developed character. Now I'm reading through the book as we're actually looking through it, because it's been a while since I've read this book. I actually read this book in a week, which is a shocker because I haven't been able to do that since high school. So I'm currently looking through the book right now, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to talk about. And I think obviously everyone is going to have their preferences of what poems and what stories they like best. So I'm looking at, so I like Gabrielle Selby's story, which is called Gal, A Hard Road to Hoe. And she's actually from Empire, but I liked her story because it talked about, specifically dealing with her insecurities that she had within herself and how she had to develop into a person on her own terms and all that great magical stuff. So that was my personal favorite, but I also really liked Dear Beloved, which is by Nicole Dennis Benn, which I believe she's actually a poet or an author. But give me a second just to make sure, of course. Okay, she is an author. But I haven't read any of her stuff, so keep that in mind, but I will in the future at some point in time. Living a Soft Black Song was a good one too. Musician, it's by Jacqueline Woodson, musician. But the book is actually incredible, and the people that contributed to the book are incredible. The pictures, like for instance here, like the illustrations that they have in the book are absolutely amazing. So here's just a sampling of the section for Black feminism, and then a little leaf reflection, and then of course there are pictures of the actual people in here as well. Sadly, I actually stained this book, so I'm glad that I'm flipping through it right now, because somebody would have been mad looking at that. But nevertheless, so here is an illustration of Jacqueline Woodson. Very beautiful illustration there. So, and again, they also talk about in here books and poems and plays that affected their overall view of life and their general perspective on themselves as well too. So again, I personally think that this is a great book. I think that this is a great motivational book. I think it's a great non-fiction book. Usually I review fictional stories because that's what I grew up reading. And then again, I haven't read any of the books that they've actually mentioned in here besides this one. This one does come up a few times, but I personally am going to try my very best to get through that list. One of the books that I believe is mentioned in here is Cleo Wade's book, and I just got that book for Christmas. So I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to publish a review, and hopefully people will like it, and hopefully if they don't, then I will be able to use it for a demo reel or something. I don't know. But long story short, this is a great book. Highly recommend it. It's $20 here, $27 in the US. You can get this off of Amazon, Google, Barnes and Nobles, Books A Million, all of your magical bookstores that you can think of. You can get it there, or again, if you want my copy specifically, I'll include all the links down in the description and the areas where I'll be selling all my stuff. So again, thank you so much for listening. I highly appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to listen to my review. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or whatever, link them down below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you all later. Hashtag keep on reading.